So, well, there we go. Now we're on the YouTube side as well. So, I don't know what you mean by that, but okay, it's also good enough for, yeah, I mean, I think if you're trying to get into Linux, this course will help you. All right, there's no prerequisites for this, although I think knowing Linux would help. Being at the command line at least once in your life would probably help. If not, we'll throw you in there. We have it set up now where it's about 120 contact hours. There's a bunch of theory hours where you got to sit and think about stuff and write some posts and all that kind of stuff. And then there's a bunch of lab hours, right? We just get your hands down in the system because honestly, you can't learn Linux without being at a command line in some way. And I mean, you can't learn a lot of things without actually getting your hands on it. So I want you guys to do that. All right, so here's the course summary. Here's the things that we do. We talk about server builds and hardware components. That's kind of throughout. Like, you may look at a system and say, well, yeah, of course, this is, maybe we do a dmessage and grep for like Zen or something, and we see that this is a virtualized machine because we knew that it was Zen under the hood, and then maybe you knew some other things about it, like maybe since it's a virtual machine, you know that there's PCI that is formed in memory on the host box, and then we can go examine how this stuff is going to work, right? We can start to see things about the system. Anyways, we learned basic command line tools and syntax. We understand how to take these things and take them apart and put them together. And there's all these different components to base command line, like what's happening. You're in a bash prompt, right? You know that your shell is bash, and then maybe you know that your shell has some process ID inside of a Linux machine, and then we can go start to examine all these things from that. Like, oh, I got in there through SSH. Well, I know that because if I were to go look up, maybe I'd even do like a PS tree or something on 43957. Sometimes this will do it, and it'll show that. I think it might be a -E or something. I don't really use this tool much, but oh, -S. Maybe that. Yeah, so maybe I see that like all the way up the tree back to systemd. Systemd started SSHD. SSHD sat here and waited. And then when I connected in, it connected and it spawned a fork for SSHD. That SSHD went out and authenticated me with PAM and pluggable authentication modules and all these other things. And then maybe that spawned this other SSHD process that was just for me. And then that SSHD process formed this bash that I'm in right now. I don't know, something like that. And I could probably show the numbers here. Where's the numbers? Sort output by PID. And I could probably also have it force the PIDs, right? -H could probably be added in there. And then maybe I can see what other things are kind of going on around this, right? Systemd also created all these other things, and we can go we could just start learning about a system, right? That's command line tools and syntax. Then we get a little bit into bash scripting, right? Like those things that I was showing you earlier, how there's like these variables. There's these special variables that exist in the system. Oh, this should be, yeah. Right, there's these variables that exist that are special for bash that we can use, and we can also populate variables. So I could like make a start time right now in a script, and then I can make a log for a script, and then all the things get written out where I want them to, right? I can check Ranger Cam if you guys want. Hold on. Somebody asked for Ranger Cam. There's Ranger. He's kind of an old dog, and he's just kind of being old. So we love Ranger though. All right, and then Linux networking, right? So, look, bash scripting is a whole big long thing, and there's a whole bunch of it. Yeah, Bash is over there, or Bash Ranger's over there. Just the older he gets, like the more active he gets, but he just stares at things. So it's kind of like going full circle. Because when he was a little bit younger, but still kind of an old dog, he did a lot of laying around, and I think he's up more and about the last few months than I've ever seen him since he was a young dog. So. Yeah, look, and he's just kind of pawing at the ground and just I don't know. He's losing it, but he's a good dog. All right, So basic scripting, again, lots to go over and lots of things that we're going to do throughout the course to make that work. And then Linux networking, right? Like what do we know about the system? We know that we've got some IP addresses, we've got some connected networks, and maybe we have multiple connected networks, and we learn how to do the Linux networking that's relevant to us. When we get later into Docker and Kubernetes, we're going to have software-defined networking running inside of this system here. So this is just Rocky 16 sitting here with a loopback and then an Ethernet interface, but then it's going to have a Docker interface or a Containerd interface, and then now that's also going to be allowed to spawn and listen to things and behave like an internal network. There's a bunch of things that'll happen there as well, right? C137, you said, saw sysadmin course started last month. Is it too late to start? No, it's not too late to start. If people want to start, all you guys got to do, this is literally all you got to do. You got to hop down into Discord. This is how you start. And I tell people probably into about the 8th week or so that it's not too late to start. I think that you can still do it. All you got to do is go down there and hop into Prolog projects. And then you come here, and in Prolog projects, you'll find the discussions. Now, the discussions are like the main thing going on each week. People are talking about, here's Unit 1, Admin 1. Here's the start of this course. This course is basically, how do you think you are at Linux, storage, security, network? There's no tricks here. There's no tricks here. This is just, what do you think you're good at? If you go down this and you say 10, 10, 10, 10, 10, 10, 10, 10, 10, I got nothing to help you with. You're better than everybody. So, go keep doing that. I mean, what can I do? I can't stop you. You're already the best. So, but if you're honest and you go, well, my Linux is pretty good. I'm probably like a 6 or a 7. And then, you put that down, and then you say, my security is a little lacking. I thought it was pretty good, but maybe I'll put that a little lower. And then there's also things I tell you that, like, as you do, it's a self-assessment of any type. You get down to like database. The database is always my example because I have no interest in database, none, not even the littlest bit. And my database skills are probably like a 2. And you say, really a 2? Yeah, I can do SQL. I can move around in SQL. Like I'm not. I mean, I've seen enough of it, and I think from a reference a diagram, I could figure stuff out. But that's not what I want to do, right? I don't want to maintain SQL. I don't want to maintain databases. That's not my job. So I would put like a 3 there, maybe, or 2 maybe. Let's say 2. But do I want to do it? So then that's another aspect that kind of comes up as we talk through our technical self-assessment. Where do I really want to be? Do I want to be better at Linux? Because look, I tell you guys this all the time. I have college students come to me. I've been teaching college for 16 years. I have college students come to me all the time, and they'll just be like, I don't like this stuff. I hate, I'm doing this Cisco stuff. And I'm like, you're in your 3rd year of college, and you hate command line Cisco? That's an expensive ass mistake, guys. I tell my college students that. I'm like, that's expensive. That's an expensive lesson. But if you come here and or anywhere, you go find anybody. I don't care if it's me or anybody, and you go, I hate that Linux stuff. I can't stand that guy. I wouldn't want to work with any of these people. That's fucking free. That's like the best value I've ever heard. To find out I don't want to do something. I played baseball when I was younger, right? And I found out I didn't really like baseball that much. I'm okay at it, right? I'm not going to be a pro, but like, I mean, that's a pretty good place to find out is like in school, and I played some in the Army, like that you're not interested in doing that forever, right? That's a good free or mostly free lesson. So anyway, so my point is find things that you're interested in, then work on them, and it feels a lot less like work, guys, because then you're doing the things that are there. Yeah. So that's actually an interesting question. So I'm just going to call you Mitri. Mitri said, interesting security topic. What's the most secure right way to get into root? Sudo-i, sudo-s, su-, sudo-su-, or sudo-su. And I would ask, I think the base understanding of that might be for people that are trying to learn this or understand it, what do each of those do, right? And the way that I always show this to people, let me see. I'm going to do something I don't normally do on stream. I'm going to make a new shell, and I'm just going to be Scott. I'm just going to be my normal user in my home lab, right? And I'm going to show you guys how I become root. I do sudo-i. I always have. All right. Now, I just did sudo-i without a password, so that already it does an interesting amount of things that Most of the time we turn that off. You have to bring a password to elevate permissions on any system. The way we get around that is using tools like Ansible, because then I can sudo in the command and I don't have to do it. But hold on, let me show you guys this. There's some things about this. If I exit here, back to me, and I'm gonna do a quick thing that's just gonna make some sense to some of you, but I'm gonna print env. It's gonna dump a lot of crap to the screen. So hold on. I'm gonna print env, and I'm gonna pipe it through word count -l, because I don't care what it is, but I care that there's 57 of whatever they are. Just understand that we don't care what those are right now. We care that there's 57 of them. Now, I'm gonna su and become root, but I'm gonna need root's password. Whereas if I sudo, I needed my password, and I elevated to root from my permissions that gave me permission to become root. So that's already its own little thing. But hold on. So now I have to have root's password. Do I even know that in my system? I think I do. I hope I know root's password. Oh, I don't know root's password. Hold on. But I'm going to become root real quick. Hold on. Maybe I'm going to become... Okay, I just became root. Now, print env, word count -l. There's 58 of whatever these things are. Now, hold on. I'm going to leave root. I'm going to sudo with a dash. I got to know the password again. Maybe I know the password. And now, as root, I'm going to do a print env word count -l. And now there's only 28. Huh. That's interesting. What does that mean? Now, we were talking about security of these things, but what I'm showing you guys is understanding how the thing works is going to cause you to understand. When I do just su, I substitute user as root, but I don't inherit his shell. I didn't inherit root's shell right there. I'm still Scott, but I'm wearing a hat. It's almost like I got a little badge on that says I'm the sheriff, and I'm like, I'm the sheriff. I can do whatever I want. But I'm still me at heart, let's say. But when I did the su dash, I actually became the root user, assuming all of his shell and it's sourcing all of his files and logging in as him. So that's a difference, right? That's a difference, and that's the thing to understand. Now, I did a different thing. I did a sudo -i, and it didn't ask me for password. Well, why is that? Why is that, right? Well, we could go look at this. I'm gonna become root again. Cat etsy sudoers. Did I put myself directly in sudoers? I believe I'm in the wheel group right here. So let's do an ID for S Champagne, and yeah, I'm in the wheel group. So I get to become root. I can do any command with no password. That's what that says right there. So there's layers to the question that was asked, but what's the right way really depends on what are you trying to do. I will tell you that the security standard for Linux tends to say you must come in as a normal user, and then you must sudo up to whatever permissions you have via a password. That is kind of the and you say, but I came in with a cert. I don't need a you need a password for sudo. There's no cert password for sudo that I know of. And you say, oh, well, I'll just take it away, and then my cert will ride, and then I'll be okay. Well, somebody compromises your account. So the point, my whole point in saying all that is, there's kind of the overarching like understanding of how it works, and then there's like now you have to make decisions around the security of the thing. So I thought that was a good question. Is sudo -i, sudo -s, su dash, sudo su, or sudo su, or just su the best way to do it? I would tell you that typically most of the time we use a password. I've taken it away in my home lab because I don't care. And then, I give everybody access to my home lab anyways as root on the individual machines. So it's there. Okay, but that's where, so we could have looked at that, by the way, when I was doing all those SUs and actually done without the word count. The word count -l was just to show you that the weight of the two things was the same. That's all it was doing there. So anyways, real quick, back to the course summary over here. We're talking about like Linux networking, and we got IP adder, and I'm over here, and this guy has these other networks, right? So I'm on this other box. Let's go back over here. Back here. And then IP adder, he's got this, but that's a bit noisy. So I like IPBR ADDR, and it'll just show me like just the facts. Just give me the facts. And then I can start to see, well, what's my route out? My system knows a route, and I can type route and see how traffic are going to flow in the system if I give them the ability to flow around kind of over here. You don't have any of the tools. Yeah. I started using Ansible in 2013, not for any of the cool reasons that anybody else thinks of. It's to use ad hoc mode. I learned Ansible from ad hoc mode. Now I use Ansible for all kinds of crap. Like I'm like a nut job with it. But in fact, I didn't write any today because I was down in a data center all day. But I'm mostly just like writing stuff all day. I just want to show you guys that, or back to that. I started using Ansible because there was a government requirement that you couldn't key root, and you had to come in as a normal user, and then you had to use a password to come up. Well, I can't maintain 750 machines like that, but I can with Ansible. So, why can't you use Control I to clear console and putty? I don't know. I've never tried to use Control I. I don't know what that is. Maybe. I'm jumping between systems. So if you guys, is it Control Shift L? I guess I've never done that. I was jumping. I was thinking you guys were talking about me jumping between my environments, but no, you were just saying clear the screen. Oh, I've always just typed clear. Sometimes you guys will see me type clear and then you'll see me go like this. And it's because sometimes when you're in certain terminals, like when I'm in different systems around the world, sometimes when I type something, I know it's going to be like 10 pages. And when I scroll back up, I want that buffer. So you guys will see me do that sometimes. You're like, why do you do that? And then still hit clear. It's a habit in some systems I'm in. I'm in government systems. Sometimes I'm in SUSE. Sometimes I'm in RHEL. Sometimes I'm in IBM, just power systems. I'm in all kinds of weird stuff throughout my day, right? Like I told you guys, some of you might not believe me, but I literally crawl around like this literally all day. That's all I do. Get in systems and do stuff all day. Except today, because I was in a freaking data center all day. So I was down in the data center. In fact, I took some pictures in the data center I was in, but I made sure to de-identify where I was because I can't tell you guys exactly what data center I was in. Networking though, so I know that my traffic should flow out, and then I start thinking how I'm going to resolve things. So like I can ping to, once I know my gateway, maybe, then I can ping my gateway. So can I ping 192.168.200.1? Sure. Can I ping the next hop if I know it out of my network? Sure. And then can I ping something by name, like www.google.com? Yeah, okay, so I'm pinging each of the next hops or whatever. I used to use a lot of AIX Raleigh. I haven't, if we're being honest, I haven't been in AIX for probably close to 12 years, but I've been in a fair amount of different systems that are still out there. The underlying system is still IBM, but we're using a different flavor on top of it because you can do LPARs still, like logical. They call them LPARs, but they're just servers carved out of a big P frame system or whatever. So clear will erase the history of the shell window. Clear Control L will simply hide it. Okay, nice. So if you guys are interested in the course is running. It's free. Look, and there was a little discussion today in the Discord. I didn't hop in because again I was stuck down in a data center. But people were talking about like expensive pieces of paper and stuff like that. And I'm not going to get into all that because obviously I've been a college professor for a long time. But I'm going to tell you that it's the process I think that changes you. I don't care if the process is taking a certification test and you have to go study the body of knowledge. I don't care if it's hanging out with us and learning Linux by joking and hanging out. There's some people down in our Discord. Cola's not logged out of our Discord for like probably over a month now. He's just been down that channel just working. If that's how you like to learn and absorb stuff, do it, right? It's an I. What happened? I don't know. I'm lost. But anyway, so control. I see what you're saying. I missed what was happening. Sorry, because again, I was in a data center all day, and literally it's just sound and noise like the whole time. You have to have earplugs. Well, if you're smart, you have earplugs in, because there's, it's one thing to lose your hearing at cool concerts and stuff and listening to music. It's a totally different thing to learn to lose your hearing in a data center. I think that's a silly way to lose it. So, hey, Barack, how's it going? Yeah, it was actually funny. The guys were making fun of me. I came back to a NOAA project just in time to go back and start installing stuff again. And the guys were like, "Oh, Scott's back." Scott, there's a perception that the guys think I left because I was working in the data center all the time. That's not exactly why I left before. Yeah. Okay, so Linux security practice. So we talk about the Linux security practices in the admin side of things. So if you're hanging out in the admin course, we talk about maybe systemctl status, firewall, D, and what are the implications of having the firewall on in a system. What does it mean to, look at what's open on our system? And then when we look at what's open, we can go see what's out there punching those holes. Like I see this tool, Promtail Linux, doing this port 9080, and I go, what is that thing doing? It's listening, but how is it listening, right? And I go LSOF, and maybe I listen on port 9080 or something like that, and I go, all right, what the heck's this Promtail? Oh, no, and there's its PID, its process ID, and I go, well, it looks like if I do a PS EF grep for maybe Promtail, maybe I find that, the process that started it was process 1, which we all know is systemd. So then you go, okay, well, systemctl status Promtail, maybe? Question mark? Don't put a question mark. And then you go, okay, well, but how is it called? Well, you've got this cool little command cat that'll show you the config file, because there's like 20 places that systemd can go start system services out of. But if you want to know how systemd on this server on this day in this environment started systemd, that's the file right there that it used. Now, you might say, Scott, why would you want to know that, or why do you care? Well, because if you modify this in some locations, it's not safe. Etsy systemd system there, that's one of my, the Etsy systemd system is considered a like a, I don't know what to say, except it's not a system controlled location. There are other ones that if you go modify them, you will be modifying things that get modified by RPM packages later. This is not a location that RPM can modify. What is, I'm pretty sure, yeah, user lib systemd system SSHD service. This one's getting updated when, if you go update the RPM for SSHD, it is definitely going to modify this file right here. And you say, well, how do you know? Like, how do you know what files came from an RPM? Well, this is important. So RPM-QA to search for maybe all the things around SSH. So here's SSHD. Here's SSH. There's going to be a client and a server at least. And here's OpenSSH server. And then I can say RPM-QL. Take all that off. And I can go with just his name. And there's all the files that came within that package. So when you're talking security, right? And I know a big topic in America is everybody's become like experts on tariffs. But what are tariffs actually doing? I mean, let's take politics out of it for a second. What does a tariff do? Well, you have to inspect the packages coming in to be able to charge, right? I mean, how else are you going to charge a tariff on something? How are you going to levy a tax if you don't know what a thing is worth? Well, it's similar to this. The reason I brought this up wasn't for political reasons, but was to say, if I want to be secure in my system, I have to understand what's open, what's letting things in and out on the network. But also, if the package manager's installing bullshit, I need to be able to find what it's installing. So this is what we call a package manifest right here, right? These are all the packages that came with OpenSSH server on my system. RPM-QL and then whatever. Were they modified later? Maybe. There's tools that you can use. I forget, but there's tools that will checksum all these and check them for you. I forget. I think there's even one in RPM. But real quick here, I should be able to see. Yeah, there's user lib systemd system SSH service. So I would expect a new version of this RPM to overwrite something that was in that location. What is the apt equivalent for RPM QL? So in D package, by the way, if you guys need to go, if you just have to go over to practice it on there, go to Killer Coda, free, right? I'm gonna send you guys to one of my labs if you want to do what I'm about to do here. Yeah, it's apt though. And oh, let's actually, you know what? I have a new lab on it. I think. Let me go look here. I think I have a package lab. LSOF. I thought I had a package one up here. Did I not recently make one? Yeah, software and package manager. So anyways, this hopefully answers your question, Chris. If anybody wants to do this lab, I'm not gonna do the lab right now, but if anybody wanted to do the lab, it would be right here. I'm not gonna do the whole lab anyways, but I'm pretty sure I have that answer in here. Oh, bigger. Make it bigger. All right. All the packages on the system there. You gotta hit Q. You don't want to count them all. Use your word count -L. It's one of my favorite things. Look for SSL in this case, right? And then depackage for IOStat, which will tell you -S. Yeah. So if you had the same thing with is OpenSSH? Oh, hold on. Let's do the same thing here. Let's look for SSH. There's our OpenSSH server, and then we'll do this with OpenSSH server. Boom. And then there's the, so that's the equivalent right there. Ultramentus, I don't know how to say that. Hey, how's it going? We're just hanging out. We're working on systems stuff, talking about systems administration and things. Hopefully people pick things up, and hopefully if you at least get in a command prompt, you're typing stuff out and practicing. If you're not practicing along with me, I highly recommend that you at least just have like a notepad open. Just have a notepad open, right? And just if I do something weird that you're like, well, what the heck was that? I'm going to go check it out later. Just go throw it in there. And if you really need it, I'll throw it down in the I'll throw it in there. Or most all this stuff is in the Discord as well. But anyways, hopefully that answers that question. Then that's Linux security practices. And then we talk about automating and repeating tasks, right? So you're on, in this case, I'm on, let's get out of this rocky box. I'm on my Ansible, my werewolf node, right? And, list. And I can see all my nodes. And werewolf has the ability, all the nodes are in Etsy host, so I can see them that way. But I also built my little Ansible host file. And here's my definitions of my host. So I could check right now, this is automation and repeating of tasks. I can come down in here and I can say Ansible. Let's say Rocky -m shell -a uptime. I like to put single quotes around these. Whoops. I like to do that. It's not strictly speaking necessary, but I like that. And I can just make sure all my systems are up real quick. Yep, hit them all. Rocky 10's down. Why is Rocky 10 down? Well, because we're using the labs right now, guys. Oh, hold on. Am I offline on Twitch? It's weird. I show myself as offline on Twitch. I'm back. All right. Rocky 10's down. All right. I can't ping him because it can't connect to him. So I'm going to go to the console on him, right? And this is a very useful task if you've never done it. And Rocky 10 is busted. He is busted. He is busted because he's anything we do on these servers. By the way, guys, we're doing Linux labs, and I'm letting people in as root on these lab systems. They're going to break, right? We're not worried. We're not like, somebody probably broke Rocky 10 on purpose. Who gives a shit? What's the point of it? And I tell you guys all the time, I'm giving you root. So what is it? I mean, there's no reason to hack the system like that because you're already root. But this guy probably had something happen. What happens on these nodes? If we go log into any of the nodes, we're already in 16 over here. They are tempfs, and tempfs is going to have problems if you use up all the memory on the box. And I don't give them that much memory. Right? They only have 4 gigs of memory, but they're pretending to have 8 gigs inside of their slash, which is held in memory. Do you guys see how you could, if I'm sitting around like trying to carry a bunch of plates out to somebody's table, and I only have enough hands for like 2 plates, and then I have like 7 other plates stacked up, things can go wrong, right? Anyway, so let's kill this real quick. Rocky 10, we'll reboot him. Nobody's using him anyways. There's ads on Twitch. That's weird. I wonder if that's what busted me. Was there being ads over there? I don't know. But you guys should still see the pinned messages, and we should go. By the way, I am wearing a collared shirt today, which is very rare for me. I think I've only worn a collared shirt on stream 5 times ever, maybe, and it's because I was in the data center. I had pants on earlier, too. We'll be doing another set of interview questions based on Linux this week. That's a good question, yes. Were you there, by the way? We did them down in the Discord this last week, and I think people really enjoyed them. By the way, I did post the questions. If you guys have never seen Werewolf Boot, watch real quick. It's a DHCP boot. He's going to come up. He's going to iPixie because the server is going to go find out who he is from the Werewolf server. He's going to download his kernel image and his init RAM FS, and he's going to boot. So I've been doing so much Werewolf the last like year at my company. Like I'm on all these, like I'm working for Noah, but I have all these little side projects where like we get more work thrown at us that we can do right now. It's kind of wild. Hold on, I gotta text the wife real quick. Oh, hold on, I'm texting the wife. But hold on. Yeah, the questions, the interview questions. I gotta think about this. I can't do them Friday night because Friday night's date night. I did them last Friday night because of the fact that the wife was out of town, so I could do whatever I wanted. So I hung out with you guys and we did Linux questions. If anybody wants those questions, they're in the Discord right here. I was letting that thing boot, but they're here in. I always do meeting notes, so you can go in meeting notes. And these are all the questions. And I was just basically it was like 10 minutes in the hot seat. I had people tell me about themselves. Tell me a little bit about yourself. Why would you be a good fit for a Linux engineer or a Linux administration role? And some people told me information about their background. Some people told me about other jobs that they've worked that are similar, but also that they know Linux, right? So people, you should know about a 1 to 2 minute before you go sit in an interview, because the first question everybody's going to ask you is, why do you think you're a good fit? Or tell us a little bit about yourself. Well, you should kind of have that a little organized. It doesn't have to be like some massive, like everything in your life, but you should have like an idea of why they should hire you, right? And then I had four areas of questions. I was asking people 2 technical from this list. I was asking them 2 troubleshooting from this list. I was doing operations, and sometimes I only got to 1 operations and 1 personality, right? Because truth be told, I've given about 350 interviews in my career. That's a rounding. I'm probably somewhere between 300 and 400 that I've given. I am always there. People always bring me in for technical stuff, always. But I was like, well, we're just going to be hanging out, so let's just ask some personality ones too. So the technical questions like, how would you verify a file system type of a mounted file system? Is it different if it's unmounted? Well, let's go look. So, oh no. We're on a Rocky box, right? We know the system, we know the things that are here, but what if I did an LSBLK and I saw that there are 4 disks that are not mounted? There's 4 disks that are not doing anything. Can I do a block ID against dev xvda? And nothing on there. And what about B? Nothing on there. But what if I can test that real quick, like without even mounting it. I just do a make fs.ext4 on dev xvdb, right? And then that made a file system on there. And then I do a block ID against it, and I still don't see anything. I'm like, well, shoot. What if I mount that? What if I mount dev xvda on mnt in the system? It's got a problem. We might need. Oh, I might not have. Oh, that's funny that I don't. Why wouldn't I have ext4 on here? It was too long a day in the data center, guys. I can't think. I've caused myself a problem, and now I have no way out of it. So I'm just going to ignore everything I've said for the last 5 minutes and just go around this problem. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. What the hell's going on here? This is interesting that we can't. I don't know why I would have that. Let's just make XFS on there. Let's do a -F. Force it. Oh! Hold on a second. Did I do... Oh my god, guys. Fuck. Oh, who sees it? Of course it's going to mount now. Now it's got a file system on it. You don't need the T anymore. Fuck. So if it's mounted, you can see it there. LSBLK. God damn it, people. You guys can't, like, take me anywhere. You could have also seen it on XVDB where I actually made the file system. I was not trying to trick you guys. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. You guys saw me make it on B and then do everything on A, and it just didn't work. And but that's what I get for working in a data center all day. And there we go. Good way to answer a technical question if you don't know the answer. I'd say, so especially early on in your career, I would say I'm very happy with somebody saying, hey, I'll be honest, I don't know that. I've done a lot of maintenance of systems. I've done a lot of like user accounts and stuff. I didn't do a lot of building stuff, so I've never seen a file system unmounted come across my tickets before. Or, in none of my admin courses did I ever do that. And I'd say, well, fair enough. You've worked with users though? You say, yeah. And I go, how do you make a user? How do you make a user and explicitly give them a home directory? Right? And then maybe they know that's user add -m. But they may tell me, guys, this happens. They say, oh, well, no, actually, so we used a tool. And I go, okay, so that's fine. So let's say a user was having a problem. How would you troubleshoot it? Because now, maybe they don't, guys, sometimes people don't have all this. This wasn't, the point of this, I even told people in these interviews, the point of this wasn't for me to go, you don't know what a PAM is. You're so stupid. Like that's counterproductive, one. And two, it doesn't matter. Like you might not know everything. Guys, I think I told you I had an interview a while back. So in my company, they were going to make me jump over. I was going to work on this NASA project. I think I told you guys. And I had to go sit with 4 of their guys and then one of their managers. But the tech lead on that team works with me. He's a guy named Chris Young. And he works with me. And he couldn't be there because when they interview somebody from a company to come work on a project as a contractor, they can't. And I think I told some of you guys know how this went. They said in the interview, there were like 2 guys that said, I don't think that guy's senior. And Chris went and told him later, he's like, I think you guys are all fucking idiots. That's what Chris told him, word for word. I'm not making that up. And then it was funny. He came to me like I was doing something a few weeks ago. This was a few months ago now, because that interview was probably about 6 months ago. And he goes, hey, Scott, can I use one of those things? Like, I was doing this project, and I had this little, like, byproduct thing that I had made as I was, like, doing it, like, some script or something. He goes, hey, can I use that? And I go, yeah. He goes, yeah, these guys over here can't figure it out. I said, whoa, hold on. The guys that don't think I'm senior can't figure this thing out? And he goes, yeah. And I go, make sure that you tell them that it wasn't even the thing I was working on. It was some other thing that I had to, like, go over, like, a speed bump to get the other thing I wanted to working. And he goes, oh, I'm going to tell them. He goes, I tell them all the time they're idiots. And I was like, all right. Well, anyways, but my point is, nobody knows everything. And they found like a few things that they thought I didn't know. And I'm like, well, I mean, I guess if, if we're being combative here, I didn't actually go into that in the meeting. But my point is, maybe you're better at troubleshooting. Maybe you're good at picking up the phone. One of our guys, he didn't have a lot of experience with, the Linux stuff. So when I asked him a question about, this was one of the questions on troubleshooting. I said, somebody puts in a ticket and something's not working. Yeah. And he said, oh, I'll just call him. And I was like, that's perfectly. Do you guys know that like taking ownership of problems is probably one of the best skills that somebody can have in like troubleshooting? Like if you're going to be any type of systems administrator starting out and having to answer trouble tickets, letting people know that you've like got their problem and you're going to run it to ground, that's a big deal. That's a big, oh, he's right there, Zorgal. Yeah, that's a big part of like being in any service industry. Know who your customers are, make your customers happy. You're an engineer, your customer are probably other engineering teams in your company, maybe your manager, maybe some project managers, some other people. at the end of the year, you tend to have some kind of review of the work that you've done. And then depending on how good or bad you've done that work and hopefully documented it, the better that's going to be for your career, right? This is like, I don't want to say it's like child's play, but I'm saying it's like these basic things that we're fantastically bad at. Us like Linux engineers and Linux admins, we're fantastically bad at taking care of our own careers, right? Even early on in my career, I didn't do very well. I had a manager one time. She sat me down. She was a skip level, so she was like 3 levels up above me. She had about 700 people under her at Lockheed Martin, and she goes, Scott, I see your name all the time on all this stuff, but your manager never like recommends you or this and this whatever. And I go, well, I thought that was like not my job. She goes, I just think you should be out there a little more. Like you're like everybody uses you and you're used, all these different teams have projects. And I go, yeah, but that's not my, I never thought that was my job as an engineer to be out like proselytizing and shouting my name in the streets. I don't think that's my job even till today, but I'm much better at documenting what I do. So when people say Scott doesn't do things, I'm like, that's interesting, because all this work are saying something different. But anyways, all right, it's neither here nor there. Those are all the questions for people that some of you guys, I thought it was a pretty good session. I can't do it Friday though. So if I do it again, it'll probably be on, I don't know, maybe Thursday? Maybe we do it Thursday. Hey, Trevor, how's it going over on the YouTube side? There was a question about if we were going to do another interview thing. I would definitely sit and work more interview questions with you guys. I can generate a whole bunch of these. I made these up on Friday. I was getting my common access card, which is called a CAC or a CAC card from the government. And it's a common access card, so it's just a CAC, right? But this thing won't say it because it thinks I'm saying a different word. But anyways, I had to go get it, so I was just like sitting in this. I was actually on a military base, and I was just waiting with a bunch of Army guys around me for about an hour and a half. So I just wrote all these up when I was sitting there, so I can generate a whole bunch more of these, right? And then we can do them, but I just can't do them Friday night because that's date night. I could do them. I could do them Sunday morning. I mean, during a stream if you guys wanted. Yeah, Trevor. We also have over here in Phoenix. In the lower 48, right? But also in a lot of Arizona, a lot of the lower states. There's this place called Cox that does internet, and there's been a joke for a million years about, they'll cut off your Cox or whatever. Your Cox internet. Anyways, but yeah, that's been a joke since we were like kids because we thought it was silly. Anyway, so there's a bunch of questions for you guys if you guys want them. So where was I at? I made a file system on the wrong thing. Oh, whatever. Is my node back up? Yes. Can I go check my automation? Are all my systems back working? Yes. Right? Automation and repeatable tasks. That's what I was kind of talking about here. And I was just going through the sysadmin course and just talking about system stuff. Are all the systems up? All the Rocky boxes are up. Many of them have been up for a little bit too long. And Rocky 16 I'm in, but all the other ones, typically when we're running the course, I try to restart these every week because they go down and they come up clean. Let's just kill them all. Let's just reboot them all. Nobody's on them, right? So let's just reboot all those. And that's going to come back kind of slow. We'll see some are unreachable because they were down as it did a check, and then some of them are going to be back. And then we'll go over here. It takes them about 180 seconds. So let's sleep. Let's give them 240, and then we'll run that. Let's go jump back over here. We see my connection disconnected. Let's do that same Ansible command, but against the Hammer servers, right? We had these other hosts, mshell-a uptime. I don't need the single quotes, but I like them, and because they give me the ability to do other commands later. Let's make sure all the Hammer boxes are up. Some of the Hammer machines might not be responding. Our automation tool is chunking 5 of them at a time. That's the default number of forks. So I want to change that behavior because I want this to happen faster. And I'm going to say fork 25. There's 25 of them. So we're going to hit all 25. Look, if you look real quick here, you see 3, 4, 5, 2, 1. That's the first block of 5. Then you see 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. It's the next block of 5. They happen to all be in order. Then you see 11, 14, 12, 15, 13. That's the next 5 in the order that they came back in. 16, 17, 19, 20, 18. That's the next 5. And then the last 5. But that's because it was blocking 5 at a time. That's the number of forks. Well, this system can handle 25, so let's fork all 25 at once. It'll say fork. We can get around it. But this will hit them all. So now there's a 20, there's a 4 down here. 4's a slow guy, right? He placed he placed 24th in the race. 20 placed 25th, and then we could go up here and see who placed first, right? Because it kicked them all off at once, right? That doesn't matter that much except to know the behavior of your system. Know the behavior of kind of how your tool works. And the more you play with Ansible, the more you'll get to that. Let's go watch this over here. Then I say implement networking in Linux. So not just understanding some of the basics, but let's turn on some things. Let's see the behaviors. Let's in this course we turned on Kubernetes, and we did Kubernetes and understood that like you can't share ports. So Kubernetes is tremendously useful compared to just running Docker everywhere, because you just run Docker as one person on a system. Cool. You know what's going on. You got it mapped in your head. Boom. You try to have 2 devs on a server, and they're all trying to map to port 8080 on their little Docker instances, and all of a sudden everything's to shit. That's actually one of the troubleshooting questions, I think, in like week 7 or something. I have you guys like you get this block of output, and you're like, what the heck is this? And it's the guy's trying to start something on a port that's already open. That doesn't work. Kubernetes deconflicts all those things. That's a big part of why people use Kubernetes, right? It can deconflict it. If you don't want to, you can always break stuff. Troubleshooting, guys. You should have a standardized method for troubleshooting if you want to be in systems work. If you want to be in in administration work, if you want to be in help desk, if you want to be in tech, but you're not over in like engineering or building new things or something like that, and you're starting out in the admin, you should definitely start with some troubleshooting. And you might say, well, Scott, how would I start learning like troubleshooting skills? Well, there's a whole bunch of different technologies. There's a whole bunch of different things. The simplest way, and I have this all in the courses here. Let's go to Linux security. Let's go to one of my old discussions here. Presentations, right? And drop down into, I think it's just called troubleshooting. General troubleshooting right here. Just pull this up for a second. This one's a little bright. We'll just pull it over here to the side, and then we'll just run through it real quick. Troubleshooting in general, and by the way, this is up in Discord, is a set of procedural steps that always draws you to the same final conclusion. It is the art of deduction, right? It is taking the facts that you see and go, as Sherlock Holmes, on his little corncob pipe or whatever, going, I deduce this thing, right? It's not some magical thing. It's a set of steps to get there, right? And troubleshooting can look like this. Identify the problem, establish a theory of probable cause, test your theories to determine the cause of the problem, establish a plan to solve that, verify, and if not, come back to your next most likely thing, come down, next most likely thing, come down. Have you guys ever heard, I've heard this before, and it's like a thing people say on like sitcoms or like in comedies. They'll be like, or I think there was even a meme of it once that was like, oh, why is plan B always so good? Well, plan B should be good. It should be the second most good plan. And plan B always looks good when plan A falls apart because it's the next most good plan, right? Well, that's exactly what's happening here, right? And if you want to think of it as like plan A, plan B, I don't care how you want to do this, but you should establish a way of doing this. Maybe even make yourself a little template of what am I going to ask? And I tell you guys, from the time I first log on a system until I'm done on a system, hold on a second. I am always validating what I know and what I assume, and if I assume something and it's wrong, I go and I try to revalidate like what I do or don't know. These might be all dead. I might have broken these. Let's go look. Why are they really down? Oh, they're still coming up. They're almost ready. They're in the boot process still. They're not broken yet, so I don't have to do any of this. And then when we're done, verify full functionality. Did we get everything back? And then document your findings, actions, and outcomes. And this right here is a very powerful thing to understand. I learned this in the U.S. Army, right? I learned this years ago in the Army. But this troubleshooting methodology can be used anywhere. Um, this next one is the same one, but it's one more, and it's right here to verify full function, established plan, and then implement. So it's just one more in here. So this is established plan and implement together for. We split it out here. Guys, I'm not telling you you have to become an expert in troubleshooting methodologies that exist on planet Earth as defined by Scott. What I'm telling you is just find one of these that resonates with you and use it. Get good at this one way of doing things, and then don't worry about other ways of doing it, right? So, Hector, how's it going, man? I don't think I've seen you for a while, but thanks for the bits. Hopefully this stuff's useful to you. But yeah, we identify a problem and its symptoms. By the way, we talk symptoms a little bit later when we're talking about kind of what you know about systems, right? And honestly, some of the things around symptoms are going to be the more experience I have. That's true. But that doesn't mean that you can't go and say, well, the node's not responding. Okay. Is it not responding via SSH? That's bad. Can I get to it via the console? That's good. At the console, it's down. That's bad. Have you guys ever heard like those like little back and forth type things? Rocky 14 is down. That's bad. No, that's good. There's an old like 1950s skit on that. But the point is, I can get to these things and I can see. Now, I would just assume here that 14, 16, 17, 18, 19, they're probably still booting, right? So we don't have to go into like whole troubleshooting thing. But I am going to test these things about them if I need to. If I need to go troubleshoot 17, right, because he wasn't up all the way yet, I'll go look and I'll go, oh, now he's up. So he should respond. Probably be just fine. And, oh, I don't like this. I want to do all 20 at once. Just launch all 20. There's 19 of them. Hit all 20 of them at once. Oh. Dash F20, right? Forks. How many forks are you going to make? This forkin' project. Oh my gosh, that's hilarious. To me, it's funny. I don't think you guys will think it's nearly as funny, but I think all this stuff's funny. All right, 14 still didn't come up. Why is 14 down? And then maybe as I'm at the console, I see, oh, he's having a hard disk error. He's not booting correctly. He didn't see his network probably. Let's go ahead and give him a start over. Give him a shot, because sometimes there's just some, what do we call it? Not a comedy of errors, but sometimes there's just a timing thing or a timeout thing. So we'll just give him a boot again. All the other 19 nodes worked, so I think Rocky's working. I can assume that Rocky that Werewolf is properly serving files and those kind of things. So let's just watch him boot. Maybe there was some kind of timing issue. Maybe there was a timeout on something. And before I go digging into that, I mean, because I've definitely booted all 44 these machines at once, and I know that they'll come back up. But maybe I just give them another shot before I go digging in a little too much here, right? That's weird. He may be down for real. Let's because he came back to there. Let's force shutdown on him, all the way down. Go all the way down, buddy. You're gonna come up. He doesn't have a network. He doesn't have a device, so he shouldn't be actually booting. He has 4 devices rather, but none of them are boot sector devices. So he's down hard. And let's start him. He should try to boot off his network first. If not, we're going to do something I haven't done on stream in a while. We're going to go take the Rocky template and we're going to go redeploy 14, because I go around problems. In my network, I don't give a shit about this box. Oh yeah, he's done. Goodbye, 14. You had a good run. But now you are dead. Now you go in the scrap pile and I just make a new one of you. This is how I fix stuff in my home lab. But yeah, rip 14. Pour one out for him if you guys want. He's going down for good. Alright, we'll kill him. Delete all his disks. He's dead. He's dead to me. We're just going to do new VM, and we'll call him Rocky template. Yep. Rocky 14. He's just going to pop up and be like, what's going on, bro? Like, what's going on, buddy? We'll make him 2 and 4. Yep, that's all his template. Yep. There's all his disks. Boom. By the way, I can do that via Ansible too in my home environment. I just don't do it very often. I don't do it for one-offs. I do it when I deploy all of them, but when I do one-offs, I don't bother. He should be coming up right here, and then when he does, we'll watch him boot real quick. But again, walk through a set of steps. Now, here's another one. Here's that visualize. So start, gather information, identify systems. So here's step 1, here's step 2, here's step 3, and you walk through these things, right? So, don't need to visualize that too long. That's all up in the Discord if you guys need it. This one comes from, funny enough, Microsoft. This is an old one, but it's React. And why might you want to know like some acronym like React? Well, it's easy to remember. Research, engage, adjust, configure, take note. I can remember that. I can remember that off the top of my head. I can even count that on my fingers, guys. I don't have to be very smart to react to something. Research, engage, adjust, configure, take note. The problem resolution is the start. Research, engage, adjust. Ongoing stability, configure, and take note. There's a name thing going on here with this says problem resolution. But if you get into like ITIL and some of these other ones, this will be incident. Complete and fix the incident. Get the wheel back on the car and get it back going down the road. And then problems are things that reoccur. Multiple incidents compound into problems. But we're not necessarily worried about that. Okay, I'm not making you guys learn all that stuff or think about that stuff. Right? Like this is an ITIL shop. ITIL is just a way that I think works well, and I think it is a good methodology to learn if you guys need to learn one. 14 back up. Is he booting? Oh, wait. Oh, hold on. I broke something here. Hold on. The node is unconfigured. So we got to go do something. WCTL node list -a Rocky 14. If you're going to be Rocky 14, I got to make you Rocky 14. I could have done this before, but let's power him down because I got to power him down to do this. Let's force shut down on him. Boom. We'll go down. Yeah. If you're going to come up and be Rocky 14, you have to look like Rocky 14 to the system. The way the system knows who you are is via your MAC address. So we're stealing the definition of Rocky's 14's old MAC address. By the way, I don't think he was even the second or third Rocky 14. I've killed these nodes so many times from people just messing. When we do, especially this lab this week where we're doing all the disk stuff, I have to go build these guys all the time. So this isn't that big of a deal. But let's take him down. Booting him hard down. Force shutdown. Boom. And we're going to go to his networking. And then on his network, which we can't affect until he's down. Once he's down, we can affect his network. Yeah, we can't do anything to it. As soon as he goes down for real, which will be in a few seconds here, hopefully. Come on, XCPNG, you're embarrassing me in front of my friends. There he is, he's down. Now I can go modify the properties of this to be that device. Now he's going to come up. He's going to request on the network for his DHCP, and Werewolf's going to be like, I got you, bro. You're Rocky 14. He's just handing him a beer and going, you never left. Totally different server, right? He doesn't care. All right, so let's boot him up. While we start him, we can over here tail-f on varlog werewolf, and then grep. Let's just go Rocky 14 for fun. We'll do that there. Over here, we'll watch him boot, right? Console. He's coming up. He knows who he is. He's going to be Rocky 14 here in a second. You guys never saw me put that on there, well, except out here. But right here, he's going to pull his drag cut so he knows who he is. He's going to pull his, he should get his kernel image and then his init RAM FS, and he should boot. So hopefully this node will now boot properly. All of our systems are up. We are happy. Excuse me. Okay. All right. The wife's bringing me food from a place called Makayo's. What? I said the wife. All right. Now I'm canceled, guys. Because I said the whites are bringing me. I said the wife's bringing me food. All right. That node's going to boot. Good. good, whatever. So we were over on this reacting, stepping through the OSI model. I'm a big fan of this one. Like I show you guys, if we can ping a box, then once we ping a server, we don't have to go check. Once he responds to ICMP ping, we don't have to go check to see if he's turned on. We don't have to go check to see if he's got a network cable plugged into him. I don't have to go to the box and do an ARP-A to see that he sees the network properly, because we can ping him. So that's why ping is such a powerful tool. You guys probably talked to some of your network administrator buddies or network administrators, and they're like, oh yeah, I just ping everything and then hang up on people. They're probably not lying to you, because if they can ping the box, what the hell does it matter? Like it's up for them. They're like, the trucks are rolling, and they just hang up on you. If you don't know that joke, that's like a thing. Hold on. Oh, Nightbot did tell you guys about the merch. Nice. I didn't know if my Nightbot thing was live. So we can also see one of the things I made you guys do, I think in the security course, was a DNS resolution, and we talked about troubleshooting DNS resolution. And if I can not so I can ping my gateway from my device, right? I see the network I'm on, I see my gateway device, I can ping my gateway. Cool. But I can't resolve maybe to DNS, like I can't resolve Google out there. Well, that's a problem. But maybe I have an internal DNS resolver and an external one, and maybe my communication to one's been cut. Probably the external one, if we're being honest. But the point is, now I have things to grasp at. Now I have things to go look at if I understand how this stuff moves on the network. And this is why I tell you guys, like, you do not have to be an expert. At Linux administration, you do not have to be an expert in networking. But it helps, because everything you do touches the network. So what I tell you guys, my concession there is, we've been going through the course here, right? And one of the things is there's this red book. Here's the red book right here. And I tell you guys, this is probably one of the best little primers. It's dated. It's free, though. Free is good. Dated is not as good. But what if I told you that, like, the base TCP/IP stuff hasn't changed that much? Oh, there's new stuff, and there's things that are coming, and there's always things that are moving further along. This is from 2006. But the first 170 pages or so of this book are really good for an administrator to understand. Like, understanding how your local network works and how devices work. And then, look, I don't care so much that you understand frame relay and those kind of things. But down here, internetworking protocols and how IP is working and how NAT works and all these things, understanding the traffic you may see. It's especially useful if you ever open up Wireshark and you really start digging into some of this stuff. But that's more if you want to dig in on the networking and security side of things. At the base level, I really think you just need to know right to about page 170 or so of this book. And the other stuff in here is interesting later, but not necessarily the routed, things and the routing protocols you're going to run into. Those aren't as important. But anyways, so stepping through, knowing the common error messages that you're going to see is important. Not a comprehensive list, but I think you should learn these as you kind of go. What are, common symptoms of a disk failing in a box? Well, we start to see weird I/O happening. We start to see more discarded reads and writes in the I/O streams, and we can watch that. Like, we can use IOStat to watch stuff writing to the disk and watch discards and stuff like that, and we would expect more, right? So we can do that. So knowing hardware and software, like understanding your system, because again, I always like say it as just crawling around on the system, knowing kind of how your system works. Very important. I was crawling around on a system in a data center today. This is a thing that we do. Oh, we're on ad break, so we'll take a break for a second. I'll sit here for a second, and then we'll move forward in a little bit. But I'll give you guys a minute. If anybody's got questions right there. I know I'm kind of just moving around, but this is the course. This is what we do. This is the stuff we talk about. These are the things that I think you guys can understand, but it's valuable to be in a group of other engineers that are doing this stuff. Admins, engineers, hopeful engineers, people that are moving into these roles. I think that it's an important thing to kind of understand. So, I'm going to wait 45 more seconds for people to get back from break. Then we'll go. I know you guys don't have breaks like that on YouTube, but the other people do. So, let's see. Also, is Braga, are you still around? I don't know if you're still around or not. It might be, I think it's, is he an hour later than me? It might be 2 hours later than me. I'm not sure. But that's one of my brothers. I was gonna ask him how something was going, but I'll message him later. I think he's been doing a little side project. I was wondering how that was going. So, okay, 5 seconds. We'll go. We'll go again. So we were waiting. We were waiting for you guys to get back from the ads. I think you guys are back. So we'll go now. This one here assumes that you are an expert in systems, but not necessarily an expert in that system. So what do I mean by that? This symptom diagnostic solution, this is what doctors use. Doctors are very good, let's say, at ear, nose, and throat. They're an ear, nose, and throat doctor, help you out with ear, nose, and throat. You walk in, they don't know a single thing about you, but they do know you have an ear, a nose, and a throat. Well, it's the same thing with this. Like, this one assumes that you understand how Linux systems work, right? And you look at the symptom and you go, typically when that happens, it's this. Or I'd go look at this and that and that. And it's identify the most likely cause and then treat it. This is kind of like the other one, except this one is almost assuming you have like a one shot, right? Because you got to put some medicine on it or whatever. But the point of this one is this one expects some type of expertise in systems. So while I do tell you guys you don't have to sit around and be the smartest guy in the room, I do think you need to spend time with Linux systems and understand them, right? What do I mean by that is like kind of like playing a guitar or something. You might throw a guitar to somebody who doesn't have any musical like background, but they might just know how to play. They might just have played their whole lives, but they might not know any of the theory. They probably intuitively understand like the first, the fifth, the seventh, like those types of things that we deal with, but they might not know all the theory behind it. They just know how to do it. Well, it's the same kind of way here where I'm telling you, the more you kind of spend times with the systems, the more you're going to kind of understand how they work. I would also still advise understanding the theory and going and spending time like with a book and all that kind of stuff. Yeah, so anyway, so that's symptom diagnosis. Systems thinking. This one requires that you have expertise in systems and also expertise in this particular system. This one is probably the most difficult because this one assumes, when you do systems thinking like this, that you understand all the components and all the pieces. So let's say you can close your eyes and you can say, okay, we have a front-end AWS application load balancer, ALB. That application load balances 70% of the traffic this way, 30% of the traffic this way. 70% of all traffic that comes in based on the headers goes to Lambda functions. Those all work. But this 30% that comes down is not functioning properly. It comes down to actual EC2 instances that we have running that do some things and track some other stuff. So that's kind of our application layer, and it's doing our app sitting there. And that application is back-ended by like a RDS system. So now we got RDS in there, but before stuff gets written finally to RDS, it goes down to Redis. Redis is a cache, right? It's a very high speed cache and all this. And you know all these things, right? You can draw them out in your head. And then when somebody tells you, as I just was saying, well, the problem is here, you can go down through the system and go, well, it sounds like all of our Lambda functions are running fine. Doesn't sound like any of that's getting backed up. But down here somewhere, these EC2 instances aren't responding right. Well, let's do our checks on EC2 instances. Is the application up? Is the storage full on the box? Like, these are like super simple things that like somebody, but they knew where to go tap with their hammer, if you've ever heard that old saying, right? Like, you know, you send the CEO or the CFO the $50,000 and 75 cents bill, and he goes, I get the $50,000, you fixed our system, but what's the 75 cents for? And it's like, well, it's actually, it was 25 cents every time I tapped my hammer, but it was 50,000 to know where to tap the hammer, right? That's what this is. This is like some expertise that just has grown out of building the systems up, right? Okay. So anyways, there's that. And then failure modes and effects analysis. This is not necessarily a sysadmin tool. This is more of a systems engineering tool where we engineer and understand how we build things. I use failure modes and effects analysis. It's been around since the 50s. It's a systematic process to examine what could go wrong, what impact it might have, what's the likelihood of it occurring, and then what's our ability to detect and react to whatever those problems are, right? So we come down here. This is actual ones that I've used. I've told you guys this. This is a real start of them that I used in a company. And what was happening is you could come, like you could be one of our 200 dev teams that we had that consumed our Linux servers. And in our dev environment, so devs run dev and prod, right? They're just developers. Software devs, software engineers, whatever we want to call them. I called them devs because they were all of our 200 dev teams. They could come to us and they could like go like a little gumball machine and push a little button, and they could say, I want this and this and this and this, and it would build a server for them. And that server build was completely automated. We didn't even have to touch it. And then we had like how much allocation each team had based on, sadly to say, how important they were, right? But like, what did the team need? That's how much of these little gumballs they could get, right? So, all that to say, these were the problems that we ran into. And these actually came from me and one of our other engineers, Michael Pessa. He and I used to work on all this stuff. And he had built, so I had originally built some of it, and then we brought Tower in, and then I left the company for a little while, and then I came back, and he had turned a lot of the stuff into like Tower playbooks and stuff. But these were things that were still, they were plaguing us. They were causing problems in our systems. So this right here is just the roundup. This is just you looking at the system and going, gotta fix that, gotta fix that. That's a pain point, that's a pain point. That's what we sometimes call them in engineering, a pain point. Come down here, you assign scores to these. The scores can be numbered 1 through 10. Now, simple math problem. I am not trying to be that guy in the internet that goes 10 plus 10 times 10 plus 0 times, no. What, if you have the number 1 through 10, the number 1 through 10, or the number 1 through 10 here, and you're going to multiply them. So 1 to 10, 1 to 10, 1 to 10. What's the number range that can exist there? I think some of you guys probably get this pretty quick. It's 10 to the power of 3, if that helps. I think you guys probably get it, maybe without me even saying. But the number over here, the risk priority number, is between 1, if they were all 1s, and what if they were all 10s? 1,000, right? So your risk priority number is somewhere between 1 and 1,000. So you assign scores down here, and then now the higher the risk priority number, the more impactful something is, and the more likely it is to occur and to affect you adversely. And adversely means calling you out in the middle of the night and having you have to go fix stuff. So we come down here, and this one got the most for me. This agent register, because our agents were failing. What were they doing? Yeah, the version or the agent or the credentials were getting out of date. Yeah, that was a problem. And that one was kind of hard to define, so it was giving us a hard time, right? Our detect and react was not good on that. So anyways, so how do we fix most of these was we just built servers every morning. We had a process that would build servers every morning, and it mostly could control, because if you can build stuff in the morning, you probably build it most of the day, right? So we would just basically check all your tools, make sure all your, snips are snipping, and make sure all your stuff's working. Anyways, that's that. That's also up in the Discord if anybody needs it. Let's come back over here. Thing's still running. It's getting its overlays. Let's make sure all the hammer boxes are up. I think hammer was already up. All right, good. So, where were we at? And then we have benchmarking and baselining. And these are speed tests. They are what I call low watermark and high watermark tests on the system. They are load testing versus stress testing. Load testing on a system is where you don't break anything and you validate that the system can handle the load. Stress test always breaks at least one component of the system, and then you can figure out how to make that more robust or split that system out or do whatever you can to make that not the part of the system that's going to break, the single point of failure in a system, if you will. And then, maybe you redundant, more disks so we get more speed. And then typically when we do that again and do another test, we find that the system can handle the load, or we break the next thing. We got all the disks right, now we broke the network. If you guys ever deal with like Lustre, which is a big file system, GPFS is similar. It's a big parallel file system where all the nodes are reading and writing. The bottleneck that you almost always hit first across a cluster is the network speed. The speed of the network will be tested if you have like a 1,000 nodes reaching into a bunch of OSSs as backends and then their OST targets. You're not going to run out of disk speed. You're not going to run out of disk I/O on individual nodes. Your networking is almost always, your switches are almost always going to hit their speed limits first. And we're talking, I mean, I work with a lot of systems that are InfiniBand, so they'll be 400 gigs per second, gigabits per second for all of our nodes in and out. And we'll still hammer the network more than the back end. So it's kind of an interesting. So there's all the stuff you run into. But benchmarking and baselining are you testing those limits, seeing, from the very first time somebody built an engine, one of his buddies came in and pushed a foot down to see how fast the thing could go before it threw a piston through the roof or whatever, right? That's engineering, right? This is what we do. But as I often say, we have hacking as a subset of Linux, right? So hacking is this thing that we do, and then we document before, and we plan before and we document after, and then all the things in between are hacking. But that's all engineering, right? One of the things I tell you guys is, but nobody's going to pay you to do this and just mess around. What they're paying you to do this for is good testing of your systems and validation of things. And benchmarking and baselining can be a really great career. There's a lot of tools out there for it. There's security benchmarking, security baselining, but also speeds of systems and stuff. And I have quite a few colleagues that I work with who that's all they do. Like I have a guy who he retired years ago, but he comes back and works for us. He's on the golf course for 9 holes every morning, and then he rolls in and he just speed tests Linux boxes, speed tests big government systems, gives a report. Well, the system gives the report, and then he goes back to doing whatever he's doing. He works about a half day. And he's like, and I don't really work Mondays or Fridays. And we're like, well, he did retire years ago. He just kind of works for fun. But he's very good at benchmarking baseline. He's an old C programmer. The guy's probably in his 70s. He's been a C programmer for like 50 years, right? However, go find when C was written. That's probably around the time this guy started working with it, Peter Johnson. But anyways, so those are the instructional areas. I only talked about the instructional areas here. Here's the course objectives. So to the point of all those other things, these are the things that I think you could put on a resume if you did this course, if you worked through the course with us. I'm not trying to sell the course. The course is free. You guys can just go do it. It's down in Discord. It's already in week 3. Security engineering is also in week 3. But if you haven't started that one, you might have, that'd be a lot to catch up. But I will tell you guys this is fun. The security engineering might be okay to start because they have study groups. So the study group is Friday nights. They have Linux security engineering. There's nobody stepped up to do another Linux sysadmin one. Most of the guys that are running this did Linux sysadmin last time. So now they're helping. They're the guys that are building the book and all that good stuff. By the way, that book is pinned. That's free online. You guys can just go look through it and go, maybe that's not for me. Okay, that's fine. It's not gonna hurt my feelings. I mean, just go do the stuff if it's good for you. If it's not good for you, I tell you, find somewhere else, right? Like, I shudder to even say it, but maybe it's the Primeagean. Maybe that's the guy that resonates with you in the systems world. Maybe that's the guy that can reach you on how to do something, right? But for everybody else, maybe find something that's gonna have a group of people that are gonna show you how to do stuff and build up your skills in the space. But anyways, security engineering. There's a Bash study group. You just want to get better at Bash scripting. That one's pretty big. That one just started too. Linux sysadmin course, security engineering course. Oh, I haven't even mentioned. There's the writers' room. That's the guys writing the book. But there's 2 more. We have conferences coming up in August, and they're free. And we typically have like a few hundred people come, and I have people from the industry that come and talk. So I'll be publishing who's coming pretty soon. But we've got some pretty big heavy hitters for this. We're also probably going to start on Friday night too. So I'll add more to this. But anyways, that's what's going on in the Discord. Where are we at here? Explain the server build process and hardware system components. So how does the server boot up? How does it start? What are the components of that server? A lot of that stuff is in this D message, right? All right, that's SC Linux, so screw that. What was I on? Rocky? I don't know. It was like Rocky 14 maybe. Right right? This is better. All right, so this is dmessage, and this is how my system started, what it knows about itself. There's a lot of, on physical systems especially, there's a lot of hardware stuff that goes on in here. I can look for, maybe in dmessage, if I expected a new, like a new PCI card. Maybe I'd put a new system in there or a new thing in there, and I expected it to show up here. Or maybe I had a tool like Mellanox. I don't have Mellanox in this environment, but if I did, that device or that thing that I had put in, and this actually, you might say, Scott, is that really that big a deal? Yeah, you go in the data center, you take 10 of your servers, big physical boxes, and you pull them out. You put a different type of a ConnectX card, which is a Mellanox type InfiniBand card in there. And then you go push them all back and you do all your work and it's good. And then you power them all on and you go check and one of them doesn't work. Well, why doesn't it work? Does it not see it here? Did you not seed it all the way? That's common. That's a common data center problem. You didn't push it down all the way and really have it snap in there. Could be bad device. You could have just been tired, right? You guys, data centers are so loud. I was in a data center literally all day today. Your data center's loud. You're not paying attention. You put in the next slot over. That slot's been disabled on the hardware on the board, maybe. This, if you go do 10 devices physically, you may, and you're pulling them out of the rack and putting them on. You typically have like a little cart there, and you pull them out and you open them up, and you got your static stuff. Maybe you got your little discharge on your wrist, which you should wear if you're doing actual server work, right? Maybe you got even the lab coats on so you don't touch the racks and damage something. These are real things, right? Actually, those were worse before we had good air handlers. When you can keep the room at the right humidity, I think it's between 40 and 70%, you eliminate a lot of the static discharge. But you still shouldn't risk it. You should still be grounded to the system you're touching, right? So anyways, you can go and find out a bunch of stuff about how the system's booting. And we talk about some of these and the hardware components and what's started and what's there on the system and how does that compare with other systems that you have? Because it's a very valuable tool to compare two systems. I tell you guys, like if you ever watch Sesame Street, right, with kids, Sesame Street's great for kids. What do? They teach you one of these things is not like the others. There was a song that we used to sing when we were kids. They would have like 4 carrots and an apple. And you'd go, well, that thing's an apple, and it's different than these other. These things are orange. I'm colorblind, but these things are orange-ish, and this thing is reddish. They're different, right? But it's very valuable as a sysadmin to be able to compare between the systems. We talk about analyzing system security and implement basic hardening of the system. We don't harden the system all the way in the admin course, but we do over in the security engineering course. In fact, some of you over there are probably tired of looking at some of those STIGs. And it's like there's a whole career there if you guys want that. Hey, how's it going, Robodom? Hey, I got more little timers going in the chat now, Robodom. So if you're there, no, I'm out of the data center, but I'm smoked right now, man. I like data centers are all just noise and heat and cold, and it's just like you're in the hot aisle and it's 110, and then you're in the cold aisle and it's 60. And it's wild. And the wind's blowing on you. So 60 and the wind's blowing on you. And then, I'm wearing my contacts today. So it's like it's wild. So, all right. Construct command line syntax to explore the system and gather resource information. Yeah. Maybe we want to know uname -r to see that. But then maybe I have to go script that. And maybe I need to jump out of the system and I go, okay, well, can I do that with Ansible? Could I do a uname -r to get all of the stuff from Ansible? Some of you are very quickly and astutely saying, but that's not really what Ansible's for. Scott, why don't you be a little more Ansible-y with your Ansible? And I go, you're right. What if I did this? What if I said Ansible setup, because this is being more Ansible-y, and we'll run setup, factor against all the boxes, and this is going to blow up 16 pages for 25 nodes. It's going to blow up the screen right now. Absolutely a mess. But somewhere in here, there's the version of the kernel, right? And I think it's called Ansible kernel. Let's go see. Ansible kernel LM. It's before. There's kernel. So what if I used Ansible? What if I said msetup-a and I can filter equals Ansible kernel, and I can use Ansible to do that. Okay. Okay, I see Ansible kernel there. And then maybe I start to take this and I turn this into playbooks and I say, do these tasks in a playbook only when Ansible underscore kernel equals this value or has the value 514 in it, because maybe I don't want it to run on a box that's on 310 still. That's the version of the kernel. That's an old kernel, right? That's a CentOS box. But these boxes, these Rocky 9 boxes, they're on version 5 of the kernel. So 514 is good for whatever app I want to run or whatever thing. But not over this, not this sad guy over here. Look at this. Look at this poor little server. He's on kernel 310. There's kernel 6 out already, right? Anyways, all right. So anyways, hardening of a system can be around closing off ports that don't need to be open, right? I'm always showing you this ss-ntulp, and this werewolf box is doing all kinds of stuff in my cluster, and I know what he's doing here because it's actually well defined what he's doing in my home lab. This is our little home lab diagram that you guys are always drawing on. Actually, I left this out from sharing the other day, so this is actually still shared from the other day. I can actually link that to any of you guys that want to hop in. And then, well, actually, I'll do it real quick because if you guys hop in there, I already have a copy of it. But you guys can also make that, you can grab that as your own copy. If you're in Twitch, you have to pull it out and drop it in there. It'll also be automatically in light mode. So you actually have to go down here and change it to dark mode. Otherwise, it's going to burn your eyeballs out, right? But then you guys can jump in here and you guys can actually work on this diagram in real time. That's one of my favorite things about Excalidraw is we could all work on stuff together. Okay, so let's go over here and you can take notes together and all that kind of stuff. So let's go back over here and look, this machine's doing all kinds of things. Did you guys know that it's considered insecure to have port 69 open on a system? Anybody know what port 69 does? You can look it up in Etsy services will tell you. But what's port 69 doing? Not just being funny for us to all giggle about. It's also a thing. There's also a thing. Hey, XM Linux, how's it going? Or X3M Linux. Yeah, what's that? What's port 69 doing? Anybody know? You can grep. You can just, yeah, let's see. I guess we can grep 69 from there. There's going to be a whole bunch of them. But what's just port 69? Right up here. TFTP. Trivial File Transfer Protocol. Not allowed in a lot of networks, almost always exclusively turned off on government systems, but not if it's needed. And Werewolf does need it to run iPXE boots for all the systems that want to come up. So it's a good thing to understand. Should we replace this 181? What's 181? Is that like a secure one? Oh, what happened here? 181. Is that like Unify? Well, I don't know what that is. 18. Oh my God. Anybody know what port Doom port is? What's the Doom port? Just another number joke. Fair enough. Oh no. Somebody wiped the page. No, it's guys, I don't care. You do whatever you want to this page. But I mean, you do something dirty, I'll have to close it down. But like I won't be able to share it. But that's for you guys to take notes on, and like a lot of times I want you guys to collaborate and take notes together and understand how these things work. Because I'm telling you guys, like it's kind of like coals being up near a fire. The more you work with other people, the more you talk about stuff, the more you're going to kind of understand it and kind of grok that stuff. So, oh, there it is, Robodom. Yeah, there's my little. Oh, you know what? It doesn't format very well, but yeah, hold on. There's our little shop. Bunch of little stuff I put up on the shop. I've been adding more and more stuff on the shop, just because I think it's funny and I think it's good. But anyway, so yeah, system hardening, command line to gather information. There's a lot of ways to gather information. So there's a lot of things that we do with, and that's one of the reasons I'm really glad guys are doing Bash. I've been asking little questions in the Discord around some Ansible stuff, And also I have a bunch of Ansible labs that you guys can do. So, you have resources and people to talk about if these things are interesting to you and you want to try to get in the industry, because that's our goal. That's what we do around the Professional Linux Users Group, is we take probably mostly amateurs and hobbyists that like doing this stuff, and we help you get to be pros in the space. And then you can curse at us for being like, now I got to get called at night from my big bed at home, where I have my own home now because I'm an engineer and I make better money than I used to. It's a real thing. And it is a way to change your maybe outlook. So scripting structures and assigning variables, conditional tests, recording output, and generating scripts that do basic system tasks. I think you can do all those by the end of the course. I think we don't focus on that as much, but I have a lot of little side quests for you to do if you want to get better at that, right? Analyze and troubleshoot an Apache web server. Yeah, I make you guys look at logs and stuff, but we don't really dig deep in Apache. But Apache is a good one to know. We definitely hit some NFS Samba stuff. We definitely do some Docker and Kubernetes components and workflows, and you do some deployments of like K3s in the lab. And I have it all set up in the lab for you guys to go in there and do. Then we describe and troubleshoot everything. And then we write and perform Ansible tasks to automate deployment to servers. So we do all those things, and we are happy because, hopefully we find a career that helps us and lets us do those things. All right. Things for the lab. You can use Killer Coda for most of the stuff in the lab. Killer Coda is a free site that exists out there. Oh, I did not want to do that. Killer Coda is a free site out there that you guys can just do labs. I have a whole bunch of labs that they're not really assigned as part of the course, but they will help you with the course. There's Ansible, there's Linux labs. They're right here. They're free. They don't cost anything. You just get in there and do that stuff. You just get in there and man, this is what they do. They drop you in. If you haven't seen me go in here before, I was in here earlier, but some people show up later. Just software and package managers right here. I forgot that I had even built this one. And we come down here and it drops you in a shell just like this for the first time. Boom. And then you just start doing your lab. The lab helps you out, walks you through things, and then shows you, asks you some questions, makes you understand the command line stuff. But by and large, it helps you to understand and look at the system input and system output process that we do as administrators as we're first starting out. So I think that's one of the best things on the web to get into this. That's one way to get in there. You can download, some of you guys might be surprised, but I actually have Oracle VirtualBox on here. I think I've probably pulled this thing up on stream maybe like 4 times ever. I don't use it for anything, but if I wanted to do these labs myself, I could put RHEL, Fedora, or Rocky on my own machine and run these labs on my own local low virtual machine. That's possible. I would highly advise, by the way, that you have notes and you just use like a notepad or something and take notes as you do these labs. Take notes of the commands, take notes of what you observed and what you saw, because there's something about the note-taking process, writing things out by hand, typing them out, that just helps you remember things. It's some kind of muscle memory type, It doesn't hurt to just type the command out 1,000 times either, but also taking notes helps, all right? Then there's also, we have Prolog labs. All these labs that you guys have seen me in today, you can get access to through our Discord. Just hop in there. And just ask around, and someone will point you to me, typically. And then this is how you connect to those. streamer1@prolog.asuscom.com. Lest anybody just start trying to hammer on that, you get kicked out after 5 tries. You get your IP banned forever. So we use fail to ban. I jail you in a Bastion node and send you over to the different nodes. If you've never seen that process, it's a really fun process. We're building that this week for my security engineers. We're going to be building a Bastion. I'm going to show you guys how that works. Anybody that wants to go look at it, I have it up on my GitHub. It shows you how to do a Bastion build with Ansible. So we're going to do it by hand in the Linux course, and then I'm going to have a new lab up, because I have a lab that shows you the basics of jailing, but I'm going to have one that actually jails and turns a full system into a Bastion. So I got to draw that up. I actually got to build that still, but I have all the steps. I know how to do it. I just have to show you guys. So Yeah. But Robodom, I think big part of learning anything is reflecting, right? Like you can do. I've told you guys this. If you put me in a room, I'm not being a chat about this, but I'm very much a chat about this. If you put me in a room of like 30 engineers and we're learning some tool or something, and then they say, okay, go on labs, before like go on labs and then go take a break when you're done, I will be number one or two done in that group. I will go so fast through all that stuff. Wife just scared the crap out of me. I didn't even know you were home. Oh, anyways. Oh, guys, I gotta go. I gotta go off of. Hold on. I gotta put my Where am I at here? Streaming. I'm gonna put my not working too hard up. Cause I'm eating. Cause the wife brought me food. She scared the crap out of me, and then she brought me food. So I guess that's okay. All right, let me see this food, wifey. Thank you.
Well, that's your cheese crud or your quesadilla.
Hold on, I gotta put this on stream for a second. I gotta wait. Hold on. It's like I'm selling Macayos. Guys, look at this. The wife brought me a giant cheese crisp thing.
It's a quesadilla.
Oh, it's a quesadilla. Sorry, she said cheese crisp.
It should be folded in half.
Should be folded in half. All right, hold on. I'm gonna eat this. Okay. What else do I have? What other bounty do I have from this harvest?
Salsa.
Salsa, good.
Chips.
Chips with my salsa, okay. These are my chips. That's a lot of chips.
And then
Sorry, guys.
6 chicken mini chimneys with rice and beans.
Oh my god. Well, I'm not losing weight today, guys.
What do you want?
Will you take that?
Yeah.
That's a lot of chips and salsa.
Yeah.
You guys want to see the mini chimneys too? I'll show you guys the mini chimneys.
I'm gonna go pee Granger and get you a fork.
Okay, thank you. Hold on. Here's the mini chimney platter. Look at this thing. It's like beans and rice and mini chimneys and. All right, guys. I'm not going to be very productive for the next few minutes, so we got a choice here. I can stop streaming, or you guys can listen to me eat. Because you definitely don't want to see me eat, I don't think. Oh yeah, a little cheese crisp. Or cheese quesadilla. Guys, this is one of the best cheese crisps I've ever had. Or quesadillas. This thing's really good. I actually worked out. I worked out this morning. Well, I do jujitsu, so I work out most mornings. And then I ate then, and then I was in the data center all day, so I haven't even eaten. This is what the course covers right here. Here's the 16 weeks. We did them kind of like brown bag sessions. We do them on Saturdays. We are in this week right here. And then we're doing operating running systems next week for the Linux admin course. That's good cheese crisp. You know, Robodom, we got to get you back in. We got to get you back in the tech field. I don't think it's too late to join the sysadmin course. No, I think you guys can still do it. It's good amount of work though, but I think you guys can do it. The book should be pinned. This is free book. The guys actually did a really awesome job. I mean, they're still working on these and they're so good. You could print the whole thing. You could literally just print it all like a cartoon bandit and just run out of here with it in a sack, and we'd be like, well, sorry to see you go, but you know, you guys are welcome to do it. But it's a really awesome little thing. They make it in GitHub and then they move it all down. Yeah. No, cause Stampin', I would tell you definitely work on it. See if you like it. Here's the learning approach. Studying individually and within a group. Guys, I'm telling you, you can always, if you're in our Discord, you can always just drop down and see people down here hanging out. Like, again, Cole hasn't left for like a month. But get in there and work on stuff if it's interesting to you, right? I mean, I'm not charging you guys for anything. I charge you guys for swag. If you guys want some stuff we all get, right? Some swag, some merch. There's a merch shop now. But other than that, I don't charge you guys for nothing. I don't even charge you guys. You guys just have to want the merch. Yeah, Robe Dumb. They could definitely do it without printing. Well, I meant like they could just print it to their own machine and take it all. So, this was something I really wanted to talk about a little bit tonight too, because I got some questions about the final project. Also, I apologize, I gotta yell for a second. Wifey! Is there a fork? Sorry, guys. I need a fork to munch on the rice and beans she got me. Because Stampin', there's no... You could do both. You can get really good at Linux and understand the systems and still go do pen testing if you want. There's nothing out there stopping you from... No, that's funny, Robe Dom. I actually, so I can eat the some of the stuff without a fork, but I do need a fork for some of it. Thank you, wifey. But I do need a fork if you have one. I'm having a forking problem over here. I think I'm funny. Guys, these little mini chimneys. Actually, no, hold on. I'm going to take a picture of it and I'll post it on Discord. Hold on. So you guys can see what my little desk looks like here. Hold on, I'll drop it. I'll drop it in the Discord under our food section. Food. Boom. That's what my... Hold on. That's what this food that I was surprised with. Food. Nope, that's other food. That's not the right food. What is that? This is the food right now. And then behind the food, what you guys can't really see is my desk. Both of my monitors are lifted up, and this one sits on a circular platform right here. And that circular platform lets me turn this big monitor. So when me and the wife hang out later, she can sit over to the left. I've got a beanbag chair. She'll sit in the beanbag chair where that fan's pointing, and then I'll turn the big monitor. It's like a 35-inch, and we'll watch shows and stuff. So, yeah, it's a good setup. It works well. I'm gonna start munching on these chimichangas, mini chimmies. Oh, that's good. That's a good mini chimmy. Robodom, this is from a place out here called Makayo's. Makayo's really good. I think they're chicken, but there might also be beef ones, I think. Sometimes it's like half and half. She probably did chicken though. Yeah, this one's chicken. Thank you for the fork, wifey. And a spoon?
Yeah,
Man, somebody loves me.
that's right.
I got a fork and a spoon. But, guys, I built her chair yesterday. She had a chair here. I put it all together, so I did something good. Let's try this rice. How's this rice? Rice is good. I like Mexican rice. I grew up in Phoenix, though, so that's like a staple of my diet. Let's try the beans, the refried beans. Oh, that's good. Those beans are real good. All right. Wife's done good. All right, so let's talk about this project a little bit because I had some questions about it. And people that have missed the courses and then they look at this can be quite daunting. But this doesn't have to be. You know, if you want to complete the course, you do have to do a project. But it's not as scary as you might think. One, you do not have to present it. You can present it if you want. You have to prepare to present it. But I'm not going to require you to present it. But if you do want to present it, you can. But here's what you're going to do. You're going to select some topic to research about a project you're going to build. System stability, system performance, system security, system monitoring, Kubernetes, automation. This does not have to be you writing something from scratch. You could say, for system monitoring and system security, we used to use a tool called Tripwire, maybe. And Tripwire was an awesome tool. It was really good. But Tripwire doesn't really get maintained and it doesn't really exist anymore. But there's a tool called AIDE, A-I-D-E. And AIDE is this database on your system, A-I-D-E. Anyways, and it's this database on your system that kind of keeps track of when everything changes. And you can use it to monitor when people have changed things down in Etsy or files of configurations of servers and stuff. And you can do all this stuff with relatively little work and put together a cool little project that says, hey, in my environment, I noticed that AIDE is not really being looked at, but we took AIDE and we turned it into monitoring so that it did some logs like this anytime a system changed. And then I gave that I gave that to my NOC, and my network operations team now always has all the alerts of anytime somebody changes something that they're not supposed to on our system. Or anytime one of my admins changes something for a ticket, I see it there. I tell them to go ahead and make sure that they document what they did, and then, it's good. Now we have a record of that thing happening and that change occurring. We keep that in a CMDB, a change management database. Or a CMDB can also be a configuration management database. And that could be it. It could be simply deploying something on Kubernetes. Hey, for this project, I deployed a Nginx front end. I turned that into a load balancer for a back end that I built that was just a simple little API app or something. It doesn't even have to be complex. You can go find a bunch of them. I even have a lab on that stuff, right? And then maybe programming automation. I figured out a way to always deploy this project that I built the same way to my environment. One of our guys, what he did was he deployed with automation a whole bunch of, there's Ranger Cam. He deployed a whole bunch of monitoring in his environment, automated. He just automated it. Now, if he ever deploys his whole environment gets blown away, he can redeploy the monitoring because that's what he wrote. And he did a presentation on it. And now, the question always is, well, how good should the documentation be? How good should the diagram that I draw be, or the Excalibur draw that I draw? Well, it should look good enough that you would be comfortable showing it to a potential employer or a potential client if you want to go out on your own. You don't have to work for somebody. You guys can do this stuff professionally if you want. Run your own business. You just have to learn how to do this stuff well, right? Sorry, I'm eating more chimichangas. I know it's chimichanga, but I like saying it that way. So you build this thing. You prove you build it. Make a cool little project out of it. Finalize documentation. Make it work really well. You know, build it a few times. Redline your documents. And then you go to a tool like Overleaf, which is free. That's also an open source tool if you want to just run it on your own. And you make a little slide deck. What did you do? What's the project purpose? How does it work? How did you build it? What did you learn? And how are you going to apply it? We only did... Everybody that finished the course had to do one of these, guys. Every one of these was different. One of our guys actually built, as we did the course, he did a blog the entire time. And his blog documented all of this stuff, just like this. But he did all the answers and stuff. And you can find that. He posted it up in the Discord. You can find all the answers to the stuff if you want. But it's also more valuable, I think, to do it yourself, right? Because this basic project right here is exactly what we do in engineering. Now, I know it's an admin course, so admin is kind of before engineering typically in your career. But it doesn't mean we can't go learn what it's like to build stuff. And then we can kind of aspire from there. So deliverables, build it, show that it's built, have a slide presentation. Show that you built it. Make sure that you show that you built it in some way, and then a little slide presentation. All right. Here's the table of contents for all the book. Again, the guys did a really awesome job with this. We're in stores this week. These first four weeks, I kind of want to call them, they're kind of a push if you already do a lot of Linux. If you guys are like, let's say you've built some Linux, you've run it at home for years, first 4 weeks, probably just push over for you. But you still got to do your discussions and you still got to get into your projects. Maybe even into week 5 and 6. But then we start getting a little more, we go a little harder, right? All the way down through the end. But there's a lot of stuff here. And then in the incident response, I actually stand up a couple of other werewolf servers. Where do I have them? Over here. I stand up the T-shoot ones, and they've got real problems in them. Those are really busted containers. But they work to connect to, and then you guys have to go fix those problems. So I'll stand those back up when we get to those weeks again for everybody. But, yeah, this is the whole course right here. All right, this is a little bit about the course, or about our organization. I've been doing Linux professionally for about 22 years now. I've been teaching at the college level Linux and networking and security and systems for about 16 years. But we wanted to give you guys this. This is the goal of our professional Linux users group. By the way, some of you guys, you can ask them. There's people that have been down the Discord the whole time. Never charge anything for Discord. Never charge anything for this course. This is for you guys, right? So, but this is a lot of the stuff, and I didn't even write this. The guys wrote this. This is the stuff that they kind of got from the course. All right. Sorry, guys. I'm still eating over here. Before COVID hit, we did get into Discord. Probably it's almost 6 years ago now. We've been on Discord. And last year, we hit 1,000 members last year, and then we kind of blew up. I think we're at almost 4,000 now. But again, with the goal of like giving people a place to go and work through stuff and ask questions, and Like one of the things I was going to ask today is I've never used Vast before. I don't even know what Vast was until a couple weeks ago when they were talking about deploying it on the system. Now I've been all over it today. So this book is just online, but you could print it down to a PDF if you want a physical copy. I might not print it, but you could hit this button right here on it. By the way, it's linked up and pinned on both systems. No, there's just this ebook. The other one's more messy, guys. You can go on the Discord, and you can go to the Prologue projects, and you can go grab each individual PDF as I was putting the course out before. But I think that that's more messy than this. This has been really the guys have done such a good job on this, making this something that you guys can use. Oh, and you guys can learn from. And I tell you guys all the time, man, if you join the Discord, you grab all this stuff and then you run off like a cartoon villain with everything in your sack, I'm just going to be like, well, I'd have preferred if you stayed, but it's not going to, you know what I'm saying? It's not going to, like, we don't care. Like, you can do this stuff with us or you can do it on your own, but the material's still here for you guys. We got a whole bunch of labs. We have a whole bunch of certification and career prep stuff in there. Some of you guys that have been around know that I was like studying for a lot of certs the last few years just for fun. So I knocked out a bunch of like AWS certs for fun and Kubernetes certs and stuff. Sorry guys, now I'm eating these refried beans. These are pretty good. Also, surprising that the wife would feed me beans. You'd have thought she learned her lesson by now. All right, that's like a fourth grader joke. Was a users group, place to go work with people, ask questions, all that kind of stuff. And I'd be willing to bet in our group there's some people that have worked with Vast more than me. And you say, really? Yeah. I mean, I've been doing a lot of stuff in Linux for a long time. Doesn't mean I've been doing everything. I can't do everything every day. So because people ask me, like, what do you get out of some of this stuff? Well, very selfishly, I get to see new technologies. I get to think about stuff in different ways. I get to hear from you other guys that are doing this stuff, guys and girls that are learning how to do this and get better. So I get a lot out of the group too. Success stories. I've seen a lot of people get jobs over the years. Also, sorry for chewing in your ears, but probably seen a lot of people get jobs from just talking to other people in the Discord too. I know many of those. Yeah, current milestones. All kinds of stuff. You guys can read about all that. All right. Then we go to Unit 1. File operations. But, guys, because the wife's home, I might have to go. So, we hit 2 hours too. I really just wanted to hop on here and like start going through this. I think I'm just going to start going through this and show you guys like really what the community's built. Because like I outlined the courses and I made a lot of the stuff, but these guys really cleaned it up and made it digestible for everybody, right? A lot of times, even with the last lab we did in the security one, there was so much stuff in there, and the guys like turned this into. Let me see if they got this in here. This lab was like they added stuff to it too, which is nice. But there's like a massive amount. Hey, this is 2. Oh, this is still 2. This is 2. Hold on. Did 3 get a lab? I don't think the 3 lab is all the way up yet. Oh no, they did. Yeah. So there's this whole configuration of an open LDAP server in here that they turned into a really awesome looking lab for you guys. Some really good stuff in here. And then they show you how to connect back to it with SSD and how to configure. Yeah, there's a lot of work that went into this, you guys. So, all right. Anyways, that course is here. If anybody wants it, hold on. I'll link the whole course. The other one is at the top, but I'll drop this one here. And I think Robodom's been giving you guys the Discord, so you guys can hop in there if you want. I'm gonna hop off of here because I do have the wife home, and I'm gonna hang out a little bit and just kind of relax. Again, I was in a data center all day, so my brain's fried. But I appreciate you guys coming by, and I will see some of you guys. I'll be back on tomorrow night. We'll be doing more of this. We'll be stuck over here in Linux stuff, but yeah, we're just gonna do Linux and then go back and forth between them. Just make sure that we understand what we're doing. So, all right, I appreciate you guys coming by. I will see some of you